Oh man, so what is up? Today's definitely a day that I've been waiting for. I got my friend David with me, and we're gonna get started on working on the Integra, kind of diagnosing it, see what's going on. And Dave, you wanna kind of, well, what's up, David? Say what's up, man.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah,
what's going on? Still concentrating on driving, but
yeah, man, kind of fill them in on what we've had going on and what we're on our way to do.
Well, obviously everybody knows about Project Pepto so far. He brought the car over to the shop and came over to take a look at it and figure out kind of where we were at with it.
Right, that was last weekend, and that's like what I mentioned in a couple videos back, how we kind of dove into it, but like I said in another video, I had my daughter, so we just kind of wanted to see what was going on with it, and now we're trying to address some of the issues.
Yep, so today we came over, I finished buttoning up a little bit more wiring that we were getting into last weekend.
And we'll go over everything that we've done
once we get back over there, we can kind of go into it a little further, but just a little gist of what we started with. The complete wiring harness was all thrown in the back seat. We had to find stuff in other boxes that the previous owner had gave,
boxes and boxes of stuff.
So we got most of the wiring figured out. We did get it to test fire on a small fume of starting fluid.
Right, just a little
just a little puff, just to make sure that the engine had kicked over, so we know that everything's good to go. Today we were trying to diagnose why we were not getting any fuel up to the front, and lo and behold, we found out, since this car has been sitting for quite a number of years, we pulled the entire fuel pump assembly out of the tank, and it was garbage.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys that whole thing when we get back to the shop. Right now, we're on our way to the junkyard just to see if we can find another fuel pump, just so we can get the car running. And that, first of all, I was told there was a Marlboro fuel pump in there, and there was not. So that's the first strike on the Integra, but overall, we're in pretty good shape. So we're gonna hit the intro, then I'll see you guys at the junkyard.
The best piece of advice I have for someone trying to succeed in the film industry or any creative space is, if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're doing it wrong.
So we're over here at good old Bithlow Junkyards, where you can buy junkyard parts and heroin at the same time. And we found fuel pump. Oh! That one don't look too bad, huh?
That one don't look too bad.
So now we're gonna make our way back to the shop. Hopefully we can get that Integra to fire up. Successful at the junkyard, huh?
Yes.
So look, you can see that they're the exact same. Like if you hold them up here and there. This is the Integra, this is the EK. What were you saying about the pump?
As you can see on here, this one's been changed. On the Integra one, they have a clip that goes essentially under this. This one's been changed. Somebody changed it so that way you can easily unplug it. Now, another thing is, this guy said that there was a Marlboro pump in here. It still has a stock strainer on it. It does not have any Marlboro markings on this. Plus, this one's been sitting inside of
I mean, look at the difference
gas tank
between old and new.
Yeah.
And we got pretty lucky that this one's it just so happened that the junkyard car has. I mean, this doesn't look bad. This looks good, right?
No, it looks pretty decent.
Right. And then I'll order like a Marlboro or an AM or something else.
And essentially what we're just going to do is take off that pump, and we'll put on the new one.
Right, so we got everything at the junkyard. I also got our little rear view mirror that I'm gonna use in the old Ranchero. Everything, lady said 50 bucks. And then I said, can you do 30 cash? Let's do it today, let's go. 30 bucks, we're out of here. We're gonna get this thrown in the car, and you think we'll be able to see it fire up?
We might be able to see it fire up.
Cool, all right.
All right.
Alright, let's see if it starts. Woohoo, there's some life for you, baby.
Alright, well, we got probably vacuum leak galore.
Right, no vacuum lines on anything.
Oh yeah. We need to block off some of that.
So it fired up. That's a really good sign. At least we know there's some life in there, and we're gonna get this thing going pretty soon. Keep in mind the gas that's in here is so nasty, corroded. I mean, I know you guys can't tell, but it stinks in here. It reeks like old gas, and I know the smell of old gas, and if you've ever bought any real old cars, that's what it smells like. It smells like the gas just has been sitting for probably, how long do you think the gas has been?
It's probably been in there.
There's no
a good couple of years. No real good telling, but it stinks.
Right, so what are we doing now? What's the next step?
Right now, we obviously know that it's got a vacuum leak, so we're just kind of gonna block off all the vacuum ports that are on the back of the intake manifold. And once we do that, we're gonna try to fire it back up and let it idle for a minute and see what happens. And then after that, you know, I guess go through everything else.
So everything that we're doing right now, we're just trying to get it to a point where it's gonna run and it's gonna idle. All the wiring that we're doing is just kind of butt connectors and temporary. These plugs are temporary. We just wanna get the motor fired and at least idle for a little while, and then we'll go through and we'll correct every single thing that we did incorrectly. Well, I don't wanna say incorrectly, it's more of just a mock-up, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, more of a mock-up.
What is freedom? I think I stole this from Bob Dylan, but maybe I stole this from Woody Guthrie. Freedom for me is waking up in the morning and going to sleep at night, and in between doing exactly what I want to do. What's the secret to happiness? The secret to happiness is finding something you love and then doing that for the rest of your life.
Go ahead. Yep. Just run for me. For another quick second. Come on.
Tap it or no?
That's all she wrote, fam. At least for right now.
Okay.
I don't want to keep trying to do this.
So it runs.
It runs.
We got it to fire up. What do you think about the cam that was in there? I know
Cam sounded nice.
Right.
I hope everybody could actually hear that on the video.
Yeah. I think in the video, once it gets too loud, it just kind of clipped out. But it sounds real good. It sounds real strong. There's a couple kinks we got to work out, right? What do we got to get? We got to get a new fuel pressure regulator because that's
fuel pressure regulator, because we're thinking that one's just old and probably has crap gas in it.
right. I'm speaking of crap gas. I'm just gonna get a brand new tank. I was thinking about doing a fuel cell, like a race cell setup. Maybe I'll still do that in the future, but I don't want to change too much. I want to keep it as close to OEM as possible, because if it's close to OEM, it's gonna be easier to kind of chase out some of the issues, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So
I think next time we come up, we're gonna base map the ECU also, because we have no idea what it was starting on.
No idea, exactly. But there's something there because
There's
it
something
starts.
there.
So, and speaking of the ECU, you want to explain what you had to do the other day?
So this car came with a rye wire harness, as you can kind of see down here on the floor. There was a couple of wires that we had to tap into for the body harness, seeing as how we're not using the OEM B-Series harness that was actually in the car. One of them actually goes over to the shock tower plugs, which are actually mounted under the dash. And then it plugs directly into everything else, so that way everything will run. Obviously this is just really temporary.
We had to do that because they did not complete it. We got the car with a bunch of loose wire ends just hanging there.
Correct.
So the other day, last weekend, we had to go through
Literally everything.
Right, one
Literally
by one,
everything.
connect them, yep.
And then another thing was, like, when we got done with the actual harness, we got power all over the place. Found out that there was absolutely no dash lights at all when we turned the key. The previous owner had pulled the cluster and pulled everything out. So we had to put all of that back on there. And then the other dilemma was we were trying to figure out why the starter was not kicking over. Now, here is a #1 thing to remember. Everything on a car needs to have a ground. As you can see, obviously everything in here has been painted. The previous owner decided to paint the entire starter. There was no metal-to-metal connections absolutely anywhere. The starter was getting absolutely no ground, and we literally took everything off, sanded down the transmission case where everything bolts to, and got enough ground to where the motor would actually kick over.
Right.
So there's still a couple of things that, you know, we need to kind of go through, but
Yeah.
you know, we're getting there.
And I always stress that I do not like buying cars that have been previously modified, and that's a prime example. It's because someone went through and they tried to do something that they thought was going to be real cool, real nice. I want to paint the starter, but they're not keeping in mind the function that it has to do. It still has to be grounded. No matter how nice it looks, it needs to be grounded. But I'm not at all upset with this purchase. I mean, for all the parts sitting here, everything that's in there, the fact that the motor actually fires, I'm not at all upset with my purchase. I just have to go into it facing, and we're gonna have to go through everything. Knowing that probably everything is done incorrectly. So we're just gonna go at it in that direction.
Oh, and another thing that we didn't really get to talk about earlier today, if you want to come over here to the front to kind of show everybody. So when the car was brought here, we did test fire it, and we noticed that the belt was actually coming off the cam gears. And one of the things that we were going through, Adam had showed me a couple of boxes that this guy had. The spacer that goes, you've got your crank piece for your timing gear, then you've got another timing gear cover plate, and then you've got your Woodruff key, and then you have the CTR N1 crank pulley, which is down there, which obviously you can see that has no AC power steering components. It's literally only meant to run the alternator. That Woodruff key was not in there for that pulley at that time. So we went through today before we had started firing anything and put the plate to make sure that the timing belt was not going to come off, and also the Woodruff key.
Right, because before, as we were trying to start it before, when we just did a couple bumps just to see if the motor would even turn,
it would literally come out probably to about right there.
Right. And little issues like that, the starter, the Woodruff key, all that stuff would be a reason why I feel like somebody might just give up. Because it's like, you know, I put everything back the way that it came off, and the car's not firing, the starter's not working, and why is the timing belt coming off? And that's why you need to really make sure when you're doing something like this, you have somebody that really knows what they're doing.
Correct. And another thing to add to that was also the fuel pump dilemma that we ran into today, because that was a whole nother ball game in itself. That was something that last weekend we were trying to look at. We thought the pump was actually good. There was still a little bit of fuel in the tank, but upon coming over here today and putting 2 gallons of gas in the tank, that did not work out the way we thought it was going to. As you know, we had to go to the junkyard and go pull out a whole fuel pump assembly and whatnot. So
right, but also having the knowledge and knowing that we could just look, let's go find a Civic 96 through 2000, the stuff's going to be the exact same, pull it out. It took us 10 minutes to get there and back, put a new one in there, and we could test fire the motor. So that's another thing that goes to show the experience really does pay off when you're working with these cars.
And just like Adam said, that is only temporary. I know that you guys seen in the video that it is a stock fuel pump that is going to go. We have plans to run into something else, and also, you know, go through the entire fuel system as well. That was just for primarily getting it to start up and let us hear it.
But you guys, I hope you're excited about the progress we've made so far. Bro, I want to thank you so much for coming out today, dude. And we'll see you real soon when we're working on the car later on. So thanks for coming out, dude. I appreciate it so much. You're welcome. So definitely really good progress today. I'm really thankful that Fat Boy came out, helped me out. He's really the professional when it comes to mechanics and Hondas, and everything that he knows about Hondas is just beyond what I know. So he had to come out, give me a hand. He's gonna really help me get this project going. Hopefully we're gonna make some really good power. Not even hopefully, we're definitely gonna make some really good power. Then I'm gonna get the car looking right. Coming up, I'm gonna do coilovers, everything. Anything that you could do to this car, we plan on doing to this car, because it's gonna be one of a kind, and hopefully it's gonna stand out from the crowd. So what I have coming up, if you didn't see my last video with the 240SX, I just got it painted. I have more stuff that I got to do on that. Got the doors hanging there. The body turned out really good. It's looking super solid. So I got to wrap some stuff up with the 240. I still have a couple of more things that I got to paint. Want to get the 240 done and out of here. And then in the next week or so, I'm going to turn my full attention to Project Pepto, the Pepto Bismol Integra. I got a list of parts I got to get on order, so that way the next time Fat Boy comes over here, we'll make a lot more progress. So, man, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the progress so far. Leave that in the comment section below. So do that for me. Like this video, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. You know what it is, YouTube. I'm out.
Yeah.